So the Nintendo Switch 2 leaks for the past few days have been absolutely insane, and of course a lot of it was coming from CES, which was a big event that was happening this week where a lot of tech companies were gathering there to show some of their newest announcements and reveals, and while Nintendo wasn't there themselves, a lot of accessory makers and other companies that make products for Nintendo things showed up there and were giving a lot of information about the Nintendo Switch 2 while they were showing like replicas of what the system is going to look like, how you're going to be able to take off the Joy-Cons and everything, and even giving some of their images for the accessories that they're making for the system. And really with everything else that we've also heard about, we pretty much know everything about the Nintendo Switch 2 down to a hardware level when it comes to knowing the system inside and out. At this point, we pretty much know exactly what the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to look like, what the Joy-Cons are like, some of the new features on it, what the dock is going to look like, and even down to the internal stuff, like what the motherboard is going to be like, how much RAM is going to be in there, what types of performance we can be expecting. So we pretty much know everything about the system inside and out, and really the only thing that we were kind of missing in terms of new information was what types of games are going to be on the system, and that's finally the type of leak that we have now. So of course, Nintendo's own big first-party games for the Switch 2 are not going to be inside of this video because that information hasn't been shared with anyone, and Nintendo really has no reason to tell like an accessory maker what their big launch game is going to be or anything like that. So you're not going to be seeing any of that until the actual reveal happens for the Switch 2, and that's really going to be kind of the biggest surprise that's really left is what types of games has Nintendo been cooking up for the system, what can we expect in terms of like maybe a new 3D Mario or a new Mario Kart or something. That type of stuff we don't know for a fact, but when it comes to third-party stuff, it seems like a lot of that now is also starting to leak. So basically, it seems like there was a French retailer or website that had a big leak happen, and because of that, a lot of Nintendo Switch 2 game information has started coming out. And so the first post that we have here is from Necro Felipe, who is a writer for the Universo Nintendo Portuguese website, and according to the information that he's gotten his hands on from this leak, it seems to be information for what the boxes are going to look like for the physical games on the Nintendo Switch 2. And he was saying that it looks like that they're actually going to be bigger compared to the Nintendo Switch boxes that we have right now. And so here is kind of the exact dimensions. He was saying that it's going to be 13 centimeters in terms of its width here, and that it's going to be 19.5 centimeters in terms of its length. So I guess the boxes are going to be bigger. Here is going to be kind of a size comparison to what it's going to be like to the current box. I don't know how true this is, but it seems like maybe Nintendo might want to do this to kind of differentiate which games are for the Switch 2, because if they look exactly like what we have for the Switch 1 cases, then people might get confused. But then again, it might also be the same size, like PS4 games and PS5 games are the exact same when it comes to like the boxes themselves, but the difference comes from how they look when you look at them, because the PS4 ones were all blue, and then the ones that we have now for the PS5 have like a different style to them, so you can tell that they're for the PS5. But yeah, it seems like according to this, maybe the Switch 2 physical games are going to be a little bit bigger. Now, when it comes to some of the leaks here from the French retailer, one of the things that we have here was this post where it says a video game manager from FNC, which I think was the retailer, or Fnac, or I don't know exactly how it's pronounced, just sent me these screens. The products have been added to the internal database for pre-referencing, several console models, and the first Switch 2 game by Take-Two. And so it seems like there's going to be a Take-Two game coming for the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, all of these do have placeholder titles, so we don't know exactly what games they are. And so because of that, we can't really tell for a fact what they're going to be, but they do have the developers on there, so we can tell like what publishers are going to have what types of games for the Switch 2. And there have been a few that have been able to be cracked using like the barcode numbers and things like that. So we'll also talk about that in a little bit. Now here's like the big list of all of the leaked games, where it says right here, new Switch 2 leak by retailer confirms multiple third-party titles for Switch 2. Listings also confirm SSD-like microSD express cards for the Nintendo Switch 2. And that was something that was rumored for a while, that it's going to be using Samsung's new SD express cards, which are supposed to be like much faster than normal SD cards, not quite SSD level, but almost like that. So if you're going to be using these, then you're going to see like considerably low times for like Switch games and Switch 2 games and stuff, so that should be really nice if you get one of those types of SD cards. But when it comes to the games, like I said, we don't have the actual name right here. We can just see here they're all placeholder names. These prices aren't real either, so you shouldn't get worked up about like the 79.99 euros or anything like that. But we can see here it does tell us all of the publishers, and we can see right here from EA there will be 3 games. From Square Enix there will be 4 games. From Bandai Namco there will be 3 games. Bethesda has 2 games. Warner Bros has 2 games, and Take-Two has 1 game, which I talked about earlier. And so here are some of those games that were actually able to be discovered from the leak, where it seems like people were able to connect it using the EAN numbers from them, which is like the European like barcode that they were able to connect with other games that use similar ones. And through that and all of the research, they were able to figure out 3 of the games seemingly that seem to have shown up from that leak. And it seems like one of them would be Tekken 8, the other one is FIFA, and the final one is Red Dead Redemption 2. And so I really feel like all of these kind of make sense, and I don't think that any of them like make you go like, oh, there's no way that that's going to come to the Nintendo Switch 2. I mean, Tekken 8, obviously, Tekken is definitely a very multi-platform series, and with the latest release that they had with Tekken 8, it's available on pretty much everything. You've got PC and PS5 and Xbox. It's not on Nintendo, but it's not because they don't want to have it on Nintendo. It would just be very hard to have it run on the current Switch, but maybe they could have like a downgraded version of that could come to the Nintendo Switch 2. I definitely feel like that's a possibility, and especially having like a competitive multiplayer game like that available early would be amazing, so I could definitely see that happening. FIFA is one of those games that literally comes to everything, and FIFA is already coming to the current Nintendo Switch. It's a no-brainer that they would bring that to the Switch 2 as well. They want to keep getting as many sales from that as they can. And then Red Dead Redemption 2, I feel like also kind of makes sense too, because Red Dead Redemption 1 actually came to the Switch only kind of recently, I think in the last few years, and they had like kind of like a remaster or something of it that came to the Nintendo Switch, and it was even released on other systems too. And if the Switch 2 is going to be around PS4 level, Red Dead Redemption 2 was one of the best games that was available on the PS4. There's really no reason why it should be super difficult to bring that to the Switch 2, and especially if people have played the first game, now they're able to play the second game as well and get the whole experience if you're like a Nintendo player for Red Dead Redemption, so that's really nice. Now, Nate the Hate also had a brand new episode of his podcast come out today in which he talked about some of the games that they're expecting to come to the Xbox, but also a little bit about the Nintendo Switch 2. And if you don't know, Nate the Hate is pretty much one of the most reputable leakers that we have when it comes to getting inside information for gaming. He's gotten many things correct in the past and definitely has a pretty good track record. And so inside of that Xbox episode, he was talking a little bit about some of the games that we can expect to come to the Xbox this year, but he also touched a little bit about some of these games coming to the Nintendo Switch 2, and in that we basically got the announcement of 4 games that are seemingly going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. And so the first game that he mentioned was the Halo Master Chief Collection, which I'm pretty sure is like a compilation of all of the Halo games, and so that would be like an amazing thing to have on the Nintendo Switch 2, as anybody who hasn't played Halo can get into that and you can have that as an option. I'm pretty sure it would probably bring like the multiplayer and everything too, and if there's crossplay and you can play that with other people, that would be really awesome if they're on other platforms too. And I think he was even saying that that's going to be trying to come to the PlayStation this year as well. And then also the same thing for Flight Simulator, which is the second game that he also talked about, is that Flight Simulator seemingly is going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch 2 as well. So it really seems like here Xbox is kind of embracing like putting their games and other things on other platforms now, as they want to have it available for Nintendo and also PlayStation, it seems like. So they really just want to kind of have all of their games to as many people as they can. But it was really the last 2 games that he mentioned which got me the most excited, as Nate was saying that Square Enix is really going to be embracing their strategy of now going multi-platform and trying to bring as many of their games and experiences as they can to different platforms and trying to get the most amount of people to play them. And so he was saying that according to all of that, it seems like that Final Fantasy VII Remake as well as Final Fantasy VII Rebirth are both going to be coming to the Xbox as well as the Nintendo Switch 2. And he was saying that it seems like Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to be coming out this year, while Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is going to be coming out next year. And so this is honestly incredible, because if you guys follow me on Twitter, or if you know anything about me, I am a huge fan of Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth. These are honestly probably some of the best games that I have ever played in my life, and if you have not experienced these games, they have some of the most incredible music I've ever heard in a game, some beautiful storytelling, voice acting is awesome, the game looks incredible. So bringing this type of experience available now to a Nintendo platform and Xbox and stuff, it's going to be huge, because I know Square Enix recently has even been talking a lot about how these games haven't been performing as much as they've hoped for, and especially having those locked to only PlayStation and PC, it can definitely not bring them as many people, because a lot of the huge like RPG audience and people who love these types of games is on Nintendo, and that's usually why there's so many good RPG games and things coming out on Nintendo systems. So if you're bringing this entire Final Fantasy VII Remake project, because I'm pretty sure the third game will also also then come out on the Switch 2 and Xbox at some point too, and then you're going to have the entire trilogy available on all of them. It's really going to be amazing for it, as I'm pretty sure like that's probably like the most expensive project that Square Enix has ever made. So if they really want to make like their money back for all of the stuff that they've invested into this, definitely bring it to as many people as they can, and it would be amazing to have these on the Switch too. Final Fantasy VII Remake was a PS4 game, and with all the rumors saying that the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be similar in terms of power and performance to a PS4, it makes a lot of sense that that game would probably be pretty easy to get on the Nintendo Switch 2, but the one that's going to be really interesting is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. If any of you guys have played that game, it is absolutely massive, even on the PS5, where it literally comes with 2 discs and the entire game is like over 130 gigabytes. So to try to get a game as massive as that, because the entire world is so big and the PS5 makes it easier because of the fast SSD to load everything, and having a game as big as that with all of the side quests, it's like a 60-hour long story and everything, that's going to be a challenge to bring to the Nintendo Switch 2. But then again, it's already coming to the Steam Deck, and rumors are even saying that the Nintendo Switch 2 might be more powerful than the Steam Deck, or kind of similar to that in terms of its performance, so maybe they could just play around with that version and kind of tweak it and stuff to try to get it on the Switch 2. It's definitely going to be a very downgraded version with like the graphics and probably relying on a lot of like the upscaling and stuff to make it look good, but if you're only somebody who plays on Nintendo systems and you don't have a PS5 or a PC or something, then this would just be an amazing way to still be able to have access to this incredible trilogy. So that is going to be really interesting to see how they get that game to work on the Nintendo Switch 2. You're definitely going to need to have like a really good team to optimize everything, so that will be pretty nice, and I'm sure they're going to try to get the third game there too, because why would you not have the entire trilogy? So yeah, that is going to be really, really cool to see, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do with it, because I would love to get it. I mean, even as a big fan who already has it on PS5 and PC, I might even get it just to support the game on the Nintendo Switch 2, so that'll be really cool to see. And finally, what's really funny about all of this is that Nintendo has actually replied about all of these leaks that are going on right now about the Nintendo Switch 2. So if we take a look at this article right here and scroll down, it says Nintendo has broken its silence on the swath of leaks surrounding its next piece of hardware. In a statement to the Japanese daily newspaper, the gaming giant said that the alleged images of its next console, colloquially referred as Switch 2, are not official. Over the past several weeks, we've seen numerous perpetrated renders of the Switch 2 and even apparent actual pieces of the hardware itself, like the motherboard and Joy-Con. So yeah, it seems like Nintendo is actually talking about this from somebody with like the Japanese newspaper that reached out to them, but it is funny because notice how they said here that the images for the Switch 2 are not official. They didn't say not correct or that they're incorrect, they just said not official, meaning because obviously they haven't officially shown us the system themselves, so they technically are not official because Nintendo hasn't said anything, but they didn't say that they're incorrect or that they're not accurate, because that pretty much does mean that all of the stuff that we've seen so far about the Switch 2 is very much real, and it's going to be very similar to this when Nintendo does do that reveal. But yeah, that is pretty much all the information that we have right now about the Nintendo Switch 2 in terms of some of the games that could be coming out on the system and Nintendo's own thoughts about everything as they reply to it with their thoughts on the leaks. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, definitely be sure to click that like button and also subscribe to the channel as well. I'm definitely gonna have some more videos talking about the Switch 2, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that. Comment down below and let me know what you think about all of this. How do you feel about some of these games that are supposedly coming to the Nintendo Switch 2, like Tekken 8, Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth, and Halo Master Chief Collection? Would you be interested in any of them? What are your thoughts on it? Definitely be sure to comment down below and let me know. But if you don't have anything to say about it, just comment your favorite emoji down below for some engagement. I would really appreciate it. Go follow me on Twitter at Aero so you can be featured in videos, and also join my Discord server as well. We've got a bunch of people in there who are always talking about Pokemon and Smash Bros and Nintendo, so definitely be sure to join that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.